It is October 23rd, and I have done nothing to prepare for NaNoWriMo in the past, 2 weeks. Pretty much everything in my life takes priority before writing this novel because it really is just a hobby, a passion project, an extra thing in my life that makes me excited. And for the past 2 weeks, everything else has taken up so much of my time that I haven't had any time to work on my novel. But today I am going to fix that. It's 9 in the morning on a Sunday, and I'm just going to sit down for the next 2 hours or so and try to plot out all of the major points that I want to hit in this novel. And I wanted to go into NaNoWriMo as a plotter, which just means that you've plotted everything out in advance. You know everything that's going to happen, which I hoped was going to make it easier to actually write 50,000 words because I already knew what was going to happen. I didn't have to think about it. All I had to do was write it. By nature, I think I'm more of a pantser, which means you're flying by the seat of your pants and you're just making it up as you go. And in reality, I think I'm going to end up being, for this year's NaNoWriMo, a plantser. So somewhere in between the two extremes of knowing nothing going in and knowing everything going in. But I at least want something to latch onto for those days in November where I just have no motivation to write or I don't know what to write. I want some semblance of structure so that on the days where I don't want to think and I don't want to have creative ideas flowing out of my head and through my fingers onto the page, for those days, I want a plan. So that's what I'm going to do this morning. I've got a bunch of cue cards and sticky notes and stuff in this little baggie, and I've got my Save the Cat beat sheet. I'm just gonna try to fill in the beats on the beat sheet because I have a lot of ideas about this novel and I've made a couple decisions about the main character, but for the most part, I just have lots of ideas and I haven't actually made any choices or decided that's the idea I'm gonna go with. And until I make some choices, there's a lot of stuff that I can't know about the novel. So this morning is about making those decisions before my critical brain even turns on and just letting some creative ideas flow a bit. So I'll reread what I've already planned about my novel and then I'll see what that elicits, make some note cards, try to organize some things, and then really start making actual decisions about what is going to happen in this novel. When I'm done that, or at least when I've done that for quite a while and I can't anymore, I'm actually gonna plan out my November because my life goes on in November. I work on my PhD basically every single day, so that's a couple hours every day I can't devote to writing the novel because I'm writing my PhD, and I don't think I'm going to be able to hit that 1,667 word mark every single day. So I kind of want to plan some weekend days in November that I'm going to just do writing sprints all day, 10,000 word days, because I think that might help me win NaNoWriMo. At this point, winning NaNoWriMo is not looking likely, but I'm gonna keep trying to achieve that goal. First things first though, I'm gonna go make some coffee, put on a record, get out all my crafting supplies, and start physically laying out this novel and actually making creative choices. And that is not my strong suit, but I think if I'm able to just make those difficult creative decisions in this novel, hopefully that will help me make those decisions elsewhere in my life, like my PhD. So this next little bit is just gonna be a montage of me plotting. Let's get into it. My first step in this process was to reread the plans for my novel that I had already written out. After I had a sense of the ideas I had to work with, I started translating the definite major plot points onto cue cards. Once I had a decent number of key scenes written down, I started organizing them into story locations and taping them to my poster board in order. I labeled each one with the Save the Cat beat it represented in my story. Once I had a good idea of where the midpoint of my story would be, I referred back to the Save the Cat beat sheet and figured out what the second half of my novel would look like. I've always kind of known that I wanted the middle of my story to be the main character finding out that she is a robot, so that helped me decide which events needed to be placed where on the board. After a fair bit of shuffling around, the second half of the story was starting to take shape nicely as well. Well, friends, I did it! I plotted almost the entire novel, and I'm actually super happy with it. It's almost exactly what I wanted it to be. It took about 3 hours just sitting down and like coming up with ideas. The only thing I don't have is this like finale section, which the Save the Cat model has like this 5-part structure that she calls Storming the Castle, and I'm fairly confident that that will come and won't take me very long to figure out. Everything else was kind of what I was worried about. Once I get to the Act 3 point, I really think that things are just going to speed up and be obvious, and I have my final image, which is like an exact mirror of my opening image. So I'm very excited. I think that my character is going to go on exactly the emotional roller coaster journey that I wanted her to. I have found a couple more characters in the meantime that are going to play a really big role, but all told, there's only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 main characters and a couple other side characters. The only thing I'm like concerned about for the actual writing of it is the tone, the style of writing, but this is my first time really trying to write a longer piece of fiction, so I think I'm gonna have to like figure that out as I go anyway. I'm fairly certain this is gonna be just from a single point of view. It's just only ever gonna be from the main character's perspective. Her name is Belle, probably, which is actually, I mean, I feel like I'll have to work in some kind of Beauty and the Beast parallel, but the name is actually comes from a character in the Foundation trilogy. So I'm gonna try to mirror that character's trajectory in this story somehow as well. I don't know if I need to like fully walk you through the entire summary of my book right now. If you're curious about the Save the Cat beats and like how I have completed them, maybe after I'm done writing it to make sure that they work for me, maybe after that I'll make a video dedicated to like sort of teaching the beats as they worked for me. But I am feeling very confident that I can actually write this novel in November, or at least 50,000 words of it. I don't know how long it is actually going to be. I think I'm going to write in third person. I think that's going to be the easiest to do. I could write in first person, but I think it might make some aspects a bit confusing. But because the main character is a PhD student, there are a couple large sections which are her giving a presentation on her research or things like that. So aspects of the text I think will feel first person. So now that I've got that, and I'm very, very happy with it, let's quickly open a calendar and just see if I'm even gonna have the time this next month to write this novel. I've intentionally not planned a lot of other things in November. I think at least one weekend, maybe the 11th through 13th or 18th through 20th is going to be like a full novel writing weekend, like where I dedicate the whole weekend to writing the book. And I'm hoping for like a 10,000 word weekend. On one of those weekends, maybe both. We'll see. In general, I think I'm going to use the evenings to write because, as I mentioned, I write my PhD in the mornings and I'm not going to compromise that for anything. at this point. Right now, I really just spend my evenings watching Netflix shows, so if in November I just don't start any new series, then I think that I can use that time towards writing this novel. And on the weekends, I don't currently actually have any plans besides writing, except maybe running a half marathon on one Sunday. And that's it. But even on that day, I think I can still get some writing in. So even if I only write on the weekend days that I have no plans yet, that is 7 days. Let's just see 50,000 divided by 7. So if I wanted to only write on the weekends, I would have to write 7,000 words per weekend day, and that's unreasonable. So I will definitely try to get some writing in during the weeks, especially when there are writing sprints going on. But in the absolute worst case scenario where I cannot do anything during the week because my other tasks take priority on the weekends, I think I can push myself and try to get a ton of words in. On Halloween, I also think I'm going to be staying up quite late anyway, hanging out with my family and watching scary movies. So I usually go to bed at 9 or 10 p.m., but I might be staying up until closer to midnight. So on Halloween night, I might stay up and just see midnight hit for the first day of November and try to get like my first couple words in right on the 1st of November, like at the starting line. So that's gonna be super fun. And I think I have a plan. I think I'm pretty set. I don't think I have much more I need to do to prepare. Obviously more would help, but I really don't think I'm gonna have the time before November to do more than this. But that 3 hours was well worth it. I'm like quite happy and quite surprised with how well my story is looking. And I'm altogether very impressed with myself, which is what I wanted to get out of this experience. So here we go. November, here I come. Maybe I'll give you some mid-month check-ins, but if nothing else, I'm gonna do like a whole month overview after NaNoWriMo is completed. Hopefully I win because that's gonna make for a much more epic video. But every day that I write, I'm going to make a little video updating how much I wrote that day and how it went. So by the end of the month, I'll have those all compiled to give you one video about what it looks like to write a book in a month. Fingers crossed, anyway. See you on the other side, guys. Happy writing. Maybe I'll see you at some of the online NaNoWriMo events, and good luck this November if you are planning on writing a novel.